Lord, I have walked through some long nights. I have carried some heavy things. I have smiled when my heart was breaking. I have stood in rooms full of people and still felt alone. But somehow, through every storm, every tear, every disappointment, every closed door, you kept calling my name. So tonight, I am not asking for riches. I'm not asking for applause. I'm not asking for an easy road. I am only asking you to stay with me. Stay with me through the night. The evening sun has disappeared and shadows fill my room. The silence brings back memories I thought I had outgrown too soon. I hear the rain against the glass, like tears from heaven falling. And somewhere underneath the pain, I hear your mercy calling. I have been strong for everyone while slowly falling apart. I gave away encouraging words with sorrow buried in my heart. I told my brothers, hold on tight, while my own hands were shaking. I told my sisters, God is near, while my own faith was breaking. But you were there behind the smile. You saw what no one noticed. You counted every hidden tear. You heard each prayer unspoken. You knew the weight behind my eyes, the battles I was hiding. And when I could not find my way, your love became my guiding. So here I am without disguise, no pride and no pretending. I need your hands upon my life. I need your strength unending. I do not need to understand why every road grew narrow. I only need to know your grace will meet me there tomorrow. When my faith is just a whisper, when my strength is almost gone, when I cannot see the morning, be the light that leads me on. Stay with me through the night. Hold me till the morning light. When the fear begins to rise, let me see you through my eyes. Stay with me when hope feels small. Be the arms that stop my fall. I do not need to know when, I just need to know you can. Stay with me through the night. Jesus, stay with me tonight. I remember days of laughter, when everything felt new, when trusting came so easily and every dream seemed true. I thought that faith meant trouble would never cross my door. But now I know that faith is staying when I cannot take much more. Faith is standing in the fire choosing to bow to fear. Faith is waking up with questions and still choosing to obey. Faith is placing broken pieces in your hands another day. I have asked you for an answer. I have begged you for a sign. I have wondered if your silence meant you had forgotten mine. But silence is not absence, and delay is not denial. Sometimes roots are growing deeper in the darkness of the trial. You have never wasted sorrow. You have never missed a tear. You can turn my deepest heartbreak into something bright and clear. What the enemy intended to destroy the soul in me, you can use to build a testimony that will help another see. So I will not curse the midnight. I will not despise the rain. For the God who walks beside me can bring purpose from my pain. Even here my soul will praise you. Even here my heart will sing. You are still my faithful Father. You are still my risen King. When my voice is tired and trembling, when my song becomes a groan, let your spirit sing within me and remind me I am known. Stay with me through the night. Hold me till the morning light. I have carried some heavy things. I have smiled when my heart was breaking. I have stood in rooms full of people and still felt alone. But somehow through every storm, every tear, every disappointment, every closed door, you kept calling my name. So tonight I'm not asking for riches, I'm not asking for applause. There comes a time in a man's life when he gets tired of telling everybody he is all right. Tired of smiling through the pain. Tired of pretending the weight is not heavy. Tired of saying I am blessed while his heart is breaking in places nobody can see. I reached that place. I reached the edge of myself. I had no strength left to borrow, no brave words left to speak, and no road left that looked safe enough to walk. But right there at the breaking point, grace found me. Not when I was strong, not when I had all the answers. Grace found me when I was falling. I woke up with a burden that had followed me for years, a heart full of questions and two tired eyes full of tears. The room was cold and quiet. The morning felt the same, and every disappointment kept repeating my own name. I had prayed until my voice could barely make a sound. I had searched reached my end. The people saw me standing, but they never saw the cost. They never heard the midnight cries. They never knew what I had lost. Hey, they saw the clothes upon my back,
the smile upon my face,
but only you could see how badly
I needed saving grace.
I was tired of being needed when I needed someone to. Tired of pouring into others with no water left to use. Tired of being called the strong one.
Tired of carrying the load.
Tired of walking like I knew every turn along the road. I had buried my emotions. I had locked them deep inside, because I thought a faithful man was never meant to cry. But the tears came like a river,
And my pride fell to
the floor. I said, Lord, I cannot carry this old burden anymore. Then I heard a quiet whisper moving gently through my pain. You were never meant to walk alone, and you do not cry in vain. Grace found me at the breaking point when I had nothing left. Grace found me when my weary soul was fighting for one breath. Grace found me in the darkness, reached down and called my name. I thought that I was finished, but mercy said, not today. Grace found me at the breaking point, and I have not been the same. I remember all the promises that never came to pass. The doors I thought would open, but they closed on me so fast. I remember every person who said they would remain, then disappeared the moment they could no longer share my gain. Some loved me for my usefulness, some stayed while I was strong. But when the season turned against me, they decided to move on. I learned that many voices can grow silent overnight, and those who cheer beside you may not join you in the fight. Oh, I became afraid of trusting, afraid to let love in, afraid that every new beginning would become another end. So I built a wall around me, brick by brick and scar by scar. And I told myself that distance was the safest place by far. But loneliness is footsteps,
And it follows where you go.
and it follows where you go.
It can sit beside your dinner.
It can sleep beside your soul.
You can hide behind your legs.
You can drown it in applause. But when the noise is finally ended, you still feel what silence caused. Lord, you saw behind the fences. You saw the child beneath the man. You saw the heart that still remembered every hand that let it down. You did not force the doorway. You just waited with your light until I said, come in and help me. I'm tired of this fight. You entered every broken room I kept away from view. You touched the places I believed could never become new. You showed me love was not a weapon. You showed me trust could grow. You showed me that my deepest scars did not have to rule my soul. Grace found me at the breaking point when I had
Nothing left.
Grace found me when my weary soul was fighting for one breath. Tired of smiling through the pain, tired of pretending the weight is not heavy. tired of saying I am blessed while his heart is breaking in places nobody can see. I reached that place, I reached the edge of myself. I had no strength left to borrow, no brave words left to speak, and no road left that looked safe enough to walk. Lord, I have praised you when the answer came quickly. I have praised you when the door opened. I have praised you when the doctor smiled, when the money arrived, and when the burden lifted. But tonight I need to learn how to praise you when nothing changes, when heaven feels quiet, when the prayer I've prayed for years still has no answer, when all I hear is silence. I do not understand you tonight, Lord, but I still trust you. I have been calling your name through the longest hours of night, waiting for a word of comfort, waiting for a glimpse of light. I have knelt beside this burden till my knees could bear no more. Still I find the same old trouble standing outside of my door. I have read about your wonders, how you opened up the sea, how you broke the chains of prisoners and commanded eyes to see. I believe you are still able. I believe your power is true. But the hardest part of waiting is not knowing what you will do. I have watched another person receive the thing I prayed to find, and I smiled and said, God bless you, while my heart fell far behind. I was glad to see them prosper, but I will not hide from you. There was sorrow in my blessing, there was jealousy there too. Forgive me for the moments when comparison became a fire inside my spirit that made me question your name. Forgive me when another's harvest made my little field look dry, and I measured your affection by the tears inside my eyes. You have never owed me answers. You have never lost control. You have never stopped being faithful, because silence filled my soul. Still I come before you honestly, with no polished words tonight. I am weary from believing when the ending is not in sight, when I cannot hear your footsteps, when I cannot feel your hand. Help me trust your faithful nature when I do not understand. I still trust you in the silence. I still trust you in the pain. I still call you my provider when I cannot see the rain. I still trust you in the waiting, when my prayers feel lost from you. I may never know the reason, but I still belong to you. But your silence meant that I had gone too far, that my failure stood between us like a wall without a door. I remembered every weakness, every time I disobeyed, and I wondered if my suffering was the price I had to pay. But your mercy is not purchased by the goodness I display, and your grace is not withdrawn each time a child has lost the way. The cross was not a promise that I would never feel the strain. It was proof that you had entered every corner of my pain. So I bring you all my questions, not as weapons, but as need. I bring you all my disappointment, every wound that still may bleed. I will not pretend I am peaceful
When my thoughts are full of war,
when my thoughts are full of war. But I know your arms are open, and I know what mercy is for. Some have told me keep confessing, do not speak about your fear. But faith is not pretending that the sorrow is not here. Faith can tremble while it reaches,
faith can weep.
and still obey. Faith can carry many questions and keep walking anyway. So I will walk with little strength,
I will crawl
if I must move. I will lean upon the promise that your character is true. Though my feelings rise against me, though my mind demands a sign, I will place my shaking future in those wounded hands of thine. I called you in the morning, and I called you late at night. I said, Lord, send me an answer, send a little bit of light. But the room remained so quiet, and the road stayed hard to see. Still a whisper in my spirit said, my child, keep trusting me. I am holding to your promise. Though my hands are tired and weak, I am listening through the silence. There were days when I thought strength meant never falling. I thought a man had to keep moving, no matter how badly he was hurting. I thought faith meant standing tall, hiding the tears, and never admitting that the road had become too heavy. But I know better now. Sometimes faith is not walking. Sometimes faith is lying broken in the dust and trusting God to pick you up. I did not make it through every valley because I was strong. I made it because you carried me. I had walked as far as I could go with a burden on my back. Every mile had taken something, every trial had left a crack. I kept telling those around me that my soul was doing fine, while the sorrow in my spirit was consuming me inside. I had learned to hide the shaking.
I had learned to master strength.
I could greet the world with laughter
While my heart was full of pain.
Everyone believed I had it,
That I knew which way to turn.
but nobody saw the midnight.
When my weary spirit burned,
I was called the strong provider,
I was called a steady hand.
so I thought I had no freedom.
You and me, I could not stand.
I believed my tears were weakness,
I believe my fear was shame.
so I carried every problem without ever speaking its name. But the body keeps a record, and the heart remembers too. Every sorrow left unspoken, every wound I struggled through. One morning I could feel it, I had nothing more to give. I was breathing, but inside me I had lost the will to live. Then you met me in the stillness, not with anger, not with blame. You did not ask why I was broken, you just softly called my name. You said, "Child, release the burden you were never meant to bear. Every struggle by yourself, as though I was not standing there. When my legs could go no farther, when my courage disappeared, you did not shame my weakness. You just whispered, "I am here." You carried me when I couldn't walk. You held me when I couldn't talk. When all my prayers became a tear, you drew me close and stayed right here. You carried me across the pain. You covered me through wind and rain. I thought my strength had brought me through, but now I know it all was you. You carried me when I couldn't walk. Lord, every step belonged to you. There were nights the house was silent, but my mind would never rest. Every fear about tomorrow was a hammer in my chest. I would count the bills before me, then I'd count what I possessed, and the distance in between them made me feel like I had failed. There were people depending on me, there were mouths I had to feed, there were promises I had spoken, there were many urgent needs. I would work until my body had no strength to give again. Still the numbers kept reminding me that effort has an end. I was frightened of admitting that I did not know the way, so I smiled and kept on saying everything will be okay. But behind those words I wondered how much longer I could hide, how a man could lead his household with such panic deep inside. Then you taught me that provision does not always come as gold. Sometimes it is peace that keeps you when the night is dark and cold. Sometimes it is one more morning, sometimes strength to make a call, sometimes wisdom for a choice that keeps a family from a fall. You sent kindness through a stranger, you sent help through faithful hands, you provided small beginnings that became a better plan. You gave patience in the waiting, you gave courage in delay, you gave daily bread enough to help me face another day. I had prayed for sudden riches, but you gave me something more, a heart that was no longer ruled by what was missing at the door. I learned money has its purpose, but it cannot own my peace. For the one who clothes the lilies will not leave his child in need. You carried me when I couldn't walk. You held me when I couldn't talk. When all my prayers became a tear, you drew me close and stayed right here. You carried me across the pain. You covered me through wind and rain. I thought my strength had brought me through, but now I know it all was you. You carried me when I couldn't walk, Lord. Every step belonged to you. There were days when I thought strength meant never falling. I thought a man had to keep moving, no matter how badly he was hurting. I thought faith meant standing tall, hiding the tears, and never admitting that the road had become too heavy. But I know better now. Sometimes faith is not walking. Sometimes faith is lying broken in the dust and trusting God to pick you up. Lord, when a man gets older, he starts looking backward. He remembers the doors he should have walked through. He remembers the people he should have treated better. He remembers the prayers he delayed, the warnings he ignored, and the years he gave to things that could never love him back. Sometimes regret can make the past feel louder than the future. But I have lived long enough to know that you are not only the God of what remains, you are the God who can redeem what was lost. So I bring you every wasted season, every wrong turn, every broken promise, every year I thought was gone forever. Lord, redeem the years I lost. I've spent some nights remembering all the roads I should not know, all the times your spirit warned me, but I chose my way to go. I was young and full of hunger, certain I could not be wrong. I confused my pride with wisdom, and I thought my strength was strong. I chased things that looked like freedom, but they slowly built a cage. I gave precious years to anger, I gave bitterness my days. I kept saying I have time left, I can change another year. But tomorrow kept on moving, and the ending drew more near. There were people I neglected while I worked to make a name. There were hearts I should have guarded that were wounded by my ways. There were words I spoke in temper that no apology erased. And there were moments made for loving that my selfishness replaced. I can see it so much clearer with this silver in my beard. Things that once appeared important have become so small from here. The applause I thought I needed could not hold me through the night. And the money I kept reaching for could never make me right. I wish I had been gentler, I wish I had listened more. I wish I had not let my anger walk so freely through the door. I wish I had held people closer while I still could hear their voice. But regret cannot return me to the hour of every choice. So I stand before you, Jesus, with no reason to pretend. I cannot rewrite the beginning, but I know you hold the end. Take the ashes of my history, take the fragments of my cost, and breathe mercy through the places where I mourn the years I lost. I cannot turn the clock behind me, I cannot live that life again, but the God who raised the dead can bring new purpose from the end. Lord, redeem the years I lost, turn my sorrow toward the cross. Take the time I threw away, make it serve your will today. Where I wounded, let me heal.
Where I lie,
Make me real. I cannot change
what I have done.
but grace says I am not finished.
Joy,
Lord, redeem the years I lost, and let my latter days be yours. I remember chasing pleasure, thinking joy would follow close, but the things that promise fullness left my spirit needing more. Every appetite grew louder, every victory became small, and the higher I kept climbing, the more frightened I would fall. Sin can look like celebration while it quietly takes control. It can dress itself like freedom while it slowly drains the soul. It can make a man feel powerful as it leads him toward a chain, and by the time he sees the prison, he has learned to love the pain. I became skilled at explaining why my choices were alright. I could justify the darkness while I stood beneath the light. I compared myself with others who appeared more lost than me, and I used another's weakness to avoid what you could see. But truth kept pressing on me, there was nowhere left to hide. Every mirror told the story of a war I fought inside. I grew tired of the double life, tired of carrying secret shame, tired of hearing condemnation every time I spoke your name. Then your kindness led me homeward, not your anger, but your grace. You did not wait with stones of judgment, there was mercy on your face. You called sin exactly what it was, but you called me something more. Not abandoned, not rejected, but a child worth fighting for. So I confessed what I had hidden, I brought darkness into day. Lord, I have survived things I never thought I would survive. I have watched people change, I have watched promises break, I have watched love become distance and kindness become silence. And somewhere along the way, I learned how to protect myself. I stopped expecting much, I stopped trusting easily, I stopped letting people come close enough to hurt me. But now I am afraid afraid the walls I built to keep pain outside are keeping love outside too. So tonight, I'm not asking you to erase every scar. I'm asking you to keep the scars from becoming my identity. Do not let what happened to me change me into someone I no longer recognize. Lord, do not let this pain turn my heart to stone. I used to greet the morning with a hopeful kind of mind. I believed that good intentions could be trusted every time. I would offer people kindness without asking what I'd gain. And I did not always measure every friendship through my pain. But the years brought disappointment, and betrayal left its mark. There were hands I reached to rescue that later pushed me in the dark. There were people who said, "Trust me," then repeated what I shared. And I learned the cruel difference between promises and care. I became more slow to answer. I became more hard to read. I convinced myself that distance was the only thing I need. I could sit among my loved ones with a wall around my soul, and nobody knew the lonely price of staying in control. I called numbness for wisdom. I called silence peace. I called my lack of feeling a mature and strong release. But beneath the calm appearance, there was anger I ignored. And each time somebody touched the wound, I locked another door. Lord, I know that being cautious is not always being wrong. There are boundaries born of wisdom that can keep a spirit strong. But I also know that bitterness can borrow wisdom's clothes, and a wounded heart can hide behind the limits that it chose. So search every hidden corner.
Show me where,
My fear has grown.
show me where,
Show me where the pain I carry has begun to build a throne. I do not want the ones who hurt me to decide the man I'll be. Keep me tender without making a careless fool of me. Give me wisdom without hatred. Give me courage without pride. Let me guard the life you gave me without killing love inside. Do not let this pain
turn my heart to stone.
do not let these wounds
Make me live alone.
keep me soft enough to love, strong enough to rise above when resentment calls my name.
Let your mercy break the chain.
What they did may leave a scar, but it will not own my heart. Do not let this pain turn my heart to stone. Jesus, keep this weary heart your own. There were words I still remember that were spoken years ago. down.
You are difficult to love.
You do not deserve a crown. Every sentence became heavy because I carried it as truth. And the wounds of harsh rejection followed me beyond my youth. I became a man who labored
Just to prove those voices wrong.
every goal became a courtroom,
Every victory was a song.
saying, look at what I've built now. Look at all I have achieved. But applause could not undo the lie. My younger heart believed I was hungry for approval, yet suspicious when it came. I would question every compliment and remember every blame. I wanted to be understood, but I never let folks near, because the thought of being known awakened old familiar fear. Then you spoke a better language than the words that wounded me. You did not call me by my failure. You called me one you came to free. You said I was not discarded.
You said I was not ashamed.
You said blood had paid my ransom.
You said grace had changed my name.
So teach me to stop rehearsing every insult from the past. Let your truth become the message that my spirit holds at last. I cannot stop a voice from speaking, but I can choose what voice I trust. Let the words of Christ grow loud. Lord, I need to tell you the truth tonight. My faith is tired. It has walked through too many unanswered questions. It has stood beside too many graves. It has waited at too many closed doors. It has prayed the same prayer until the words lost their sound. I still believe in you, but believing has become heavy. I am not walking away. I'm just asking you to hold what is left of me. My faith is tired, Lord, but it is still holding on. I remember when believing felt as easy as the dawn, when a single word of promise gave my spirit strength to run. I could pray without distraction. I could sing without a fear, and I never had to question whether you were standing near. Then the road became much longer than the one I thought I knew. And the prayers I prayed with confidence did not all come quickly through. Days became uncertain seasons. Seasons turned to weary years. And the faith that once felt fearless learned to worship through its tears. I kept telling everybody, God is good, so I am fine. But the struggle grew much deeper than the language I could find. I was frightened at admitting I was tired and unsure. Would make people call me faithless, would make heaven close the door. So I smiled through every gathering. I said all the proper things. I raised both hands in worship, though my heart had broken wings. I encouraged other people while my own hope needed care. And I spoke about your presence while I struggled to feel you there. But you do not need performance. You already see the heart. You can hear the truth beneath me when my polished prayers fall faithful shepherd when this tired sheep cries out. So I will stop pretending. I will bring you what is true. I have very little strength left, but the little belongs to you. When my faith becomes a whisper, when my praise becomes a groan, take the little I can offer. Do not leave my soul alone. My faith is tired, but it's still holding on. My voice is weak, but I still have a song. I cannot run the way I did before, but I am still reaching for the Lord. My hands are trembling, my strength is gone, but through the darkness I am holding on. I may be wounded, I may move slow, but I have nowhere else to go. My faith is tired, but it's still holding on. I have prayed beside the sick bed, asking you to intervene. I have watched a body weaken while I begged for what I'd seen. In the stories of your power, in the words that say you heal, and I knew that you were able, but I wondered what you willed. There were moments healing happened, and we shouted out your name. There were moments nothing altered, and the sorrow still remained. Those were days my faith felt fragile, when the answers people gave could not touch the depth of anguish living near a loved one's pain. Some said maybe faith was missing. Some said speak a stronger word. But I knew the ones who suffered had already cried till heaven heard. I will never blame the wounded for the burden they endure. I will never use religion to make mystery feel secure. You are present in the treatment. You are present in the prayer. You are present in the waiting. You are present in the fear. You are present in the silence after difficult reports. You are present with the family when their courage has grown short. I still pray for full recovery. I still ask you to restore. I still believe that miracles can come knocking at the door. But if healing takes a pathway that I never would have planned, give me faith that does not vanish when I cannot understand. Sometimes faith is not a shout. Sometimes faith is one more breath. Sometimes faith is simply trusting you are Lord of life and death. Sometimes faith is taking medicine. Sometimes faith is asking aid. Sometimes faith is being honest. Lord, there are some kinds of loneliness a crowded room cannot cure. There are nights when a man can hear every clock in the house, because nobody's there to call his name. There are moments when the people he carried no longer remember how heavy he became. I watched friendships disappear. I have watched promises lose their meaning. I have stood at doors that once opened for me and realized I was no longer welcome. But through every leaving, every silence, and every empty chair, you remained. When everybody left, you stayed. I remember when the telephone would ring throughout the day, when people needed something, they could always find their way. They would tell me I was precious, they would call me family. But when my hands were finally empty, they stopped reaching out to me. I had given time and money, I had carried many loads, I had driven through the midnight just to help them down the road. I had listened to their sorrow, I had answered every call. But when my own heart started breaking, there was no one there at all. I kept checking every message, thinking someone might have tried. I kept saying they are busy, while the truth sat by my side. Days became a month of silence, months became another year, and the people I once rescued could not see me disappear. I wondered if they loved me, or just love what I could do. I wondered if the friendship had been honest, deep and true. They ever knew. And when I could no longer give them, there was nothing left to use. But while I sat there asking, while my name had been erased, I felt something in the silence, like a hand upon my face. You were not ashamed to find me when the others lost their way. You did not need me to be useful, you just loved me where I lay. When the room became my prison, when the silence spoke my name, I discovered in the darkness that your presence never changed. When everybody left, you stayed. When every promise broke, you stayed. When I had nothing left to give, you gave me one more reason to live. When no one heard the tears I prayed, you counted everyone that fell. When everybody left, you stayed. My faithful God, you stayed. There were people I called brothers who had eaten at my table. I had stood beside their weakness and believed that love was stable. We had shared our deepest secrets, we had laughed until we cried. I believed that kind of friendship would remain until we died. Then a rumor found its doorway, and suspicion found a seat. Then the truth became a stranger, and betrayal came to eat. They believed what others told them without asking me a thing. And the bond we built for many years was cut believe without a word. Some will judge a man completely by the gossip they have heard. Some will never seek the truth because the truth costs them too much. And a friendship built on comfort will not always stand through dust. So I place my name before you. I said, Lord, you know my heart. You have seen the whole beginning. You can see each hidden part. I stopped begging every person to believe the words I said. I let truth become my pillow, and I laid my weary head. You reminded me that Jesus was rejected and accused, and the purest love that walked the earth was still misunderstood. So when falsehood took my friendships and the crowd turned me away, you became my vindication. When they left me, you still stayed. When everybody left, you stayed. When every promise broke, you stayed. When I had nothing left to give, you gave me one more reason to live. When no one heard the tears I prayed, you counted everyone that fell. When everybody left, you stayed. My faithful God, you stayed. There'll be people I call brothers the crowded room cannot cure.